And in my style, I'm going to use a purple background. Okay. I usually start with a sketch. I use a soft falcon pen, but bleeding because yeah, it makes it look better. So you're gonna add these two like half circles, giant half circles for the iris and the pupil. Ink that button in and delete the sketch. Normally I would use a small ass sketching layer, but I decided to go with a big layer for the sake, or big point pen for the sake of, yeah, it's only one eye, so yeah. Then you add your little lashy thingamabobbers. Even though I don't normally draw lashes, because I mainly draw guys, and I don't like drawing guys' lashes, I'm going to do them for today. Now this is completely optional, but I did the lashes on the wrong layer, so you gotta restart. Then you go into your selection layer, hide your background layer, put a layer underneath your line art, and select which area you want to begin working on. I usually work on the whites of the eyes first, because that way I could kind of layer up, and if I get any of the whites into the other layer, which I don't think I will do, because, well, the selection layer gives you more control over everything. Now we go into our layer underneath that layer, and I usually choose light gray or tan, and I go in with the soft dip pen, and I just kind of scribble that bad boy everywhere. Then I take the white, do this number, hold on, let me just, yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. Hold on, I should probably add more white. To this side, because yeah, blend. I'm going to add more white here. Blend. And there you go, you have the whites of the eyes. I do not add that weird red bit. Then we go into our selection layer again and select the iris. Then we go in and we choose our 3 colors. Let's have this eye be red, just for the sake. Go in with our lightest color and fill that sucker in. Go in with our second lightest color, fill that sucker in halfway. Go in with our darkest color, fill the bottom of that sucker in, and then blend. Yeah. And then after you're done with that, you go into the pupil. And yeah, you basically choose color that's darker than the color of your eye, but in the same, well, a darker hue of the color of your eye, but in the same color. Slightly darker as it transitions to our final color, which is of course going to be the black of the pupil. And then we blend this all together. Gives off a really cool effect. And then we take our dip pen hard again, and we finish it off our lashes. Making sure to go in curved motions, filling in, neck, and how space part you want your lashes in question to be. Add little dudes in between big strokes. And basically add that until you get to the very end of the top eyelid. And then you add big and little boys to the bottom. Not too big though, and you don't want them to be too close together because it'll look really weird. And then what I do is do the top of the eye. And then we do another line on the bottom underneath the lashes, giving some room for color. Of course, you want your gap recognition to be on when you fill this in with the bucket with the selection tool, because otherwise you'll end up filling in the background, which is not what we want. You could go in with your brush to get in between the eyelashes. Excuse my stupid cousin coughing in the background. He always does this. And I'm not saying that because he's a guy. I'm saying that because he's genuinely stupid. And he decides to cough for no reason and make himself sick. Yeah, Dorian, I'm looking at you. And then we do that till we get to a point where I just say you connect the outline of your eye to your line, which I say is about this point for the top. And then for the bottom, I just like to kind of like fill it in like so, because the bottom is usually easier to fill in because there's more gaps between each lash. And yeah, my bucket tool decided that's where stop, and then you use one singular line to connect bottom and top of your patch of skin for your eyelids. Okay, then we go into a color layer again, and we take Dip Pen Soft random color blobs. Well, since she has a red eye, we'll do yellow skin tone, because I just think those go together. And we'll also throw in a couple of accent colors, like this blue that goes really well with the yellow. I'm just gonna take this darker yellow and like go around the edges with it. That way I kind of know where my stopping points are, and it also helps me like envision how close I am to finishing it. Take this darker yellow, fill it in some places. Yeah, this will probably be up on YouTube. My original thought was to post it to TikTok, but it's over a minute already. And we do this. There used to be a feature on TikTok, I'm not sure if it's still there, where it was called TikTok Talent, I think, where you basically showed off your talent. God, if I wasn't so judgmental of TikTok back when it would they had it, I would totally be using that right now. Because stuff like eye tutorials usually blow up on TikTok. Eyes in general usually blow up on TikTok. I'll probably post a speed paint to TikTok. But yeah, so we blob our colors in, and we're going to add our accent color to the bottom, which is actually our blue, because our color wheel says that's the color opposite. Even though I know the color opposite of yellow is actually, hold on, purple. Forgive me, it's been a while since I've done the color wheel. Maybe it wasn't purple, but a shade of blue. I think that's what they meant, because these shades of blue really look purple right now. Well, anyways, sure, I'll take that yellow, and I'll fill it in the sides. On this side, fill in the sides of the skin tone. On this side, I'm gonna try and find a light color for a nice transition. And yeah, I'm going to use this bright blue now. Okay. Now that we've got the blue out of the way, we could go back to our yellows. Let's use this yellow-green. Of course, classic yellow. Or yellowish orange. And there we go. And then we just take our blur tool and blend it all together for a nice smooth skin tone. That turns out every time because, yeah. Then we add a layer, clip it to the last layer, and we can turn it to multiply and turn our background back on because, well, yeah. And then I usually I'll put shading along the very bottom of the eye with the color opposite the color. Not the part of the eye that's shaded is the side of the eye. If you've ever noticed, and right under the eye hood. If you've ever noticed, those parts tend to have heavy shading. Or shadow, I should say. For all of you unexperienced artistes out there. And we use this color for our shadows because I like to use one color for shading. I don't know why, it's just a habit of mine. Then we blur it so we can expand it as much as it can go. Take our eraser and yeah, we kind of do that. Hold on. And then we kind of to make our shadows look more realistic, we blur them. The blur tool is also how I blend everything. So yeah, that looks more realistic. Take another layer in Color Dodge. Right above the eye is where I tend to put my highlights a lot if it comes to an eye. And also on the very corners of the eye. And I usually do these highlights on the corners of the eye in white. Even though I don't really do that a lot, this is more the personal stuff I do when I'm doing art for myself that I don't post. And then we do these highlights. I have a very clear aesthetic when it comes to my art that I post, I feel, and I don't ever want to ruin that. Then we go back to this layer. We do the same as before. We erase anything that is outside of its boundary. And you need to really look close in the eye itself if you are going to be adding anything directly above the eye. Blur. Both our highlights kind of disappear, but they're still there. Trust me, like, if I were to change this layer to a multiply layer, they'd be dark. Okay, there's that. Clip this layer, add another layer, and clip that. Set that layer to add. Notice how I'm not doing the eyebrow and just the eye. Most people also do their eyebrow tutorial with their eye. But I feel like a lot of people already know how to make an eyebrow, so yeah, with this I just take darker color all over it, and then I erase most of that. Then we take an even darker color and just put it directly under the pupil. And for this layer, I never really do this, but I'm gonna Gaussian blur it. Just because, and then I usually add like little like circle highlights there in people's eyes. Like, this layer is supposed to be an add layer, and I guess I just see it more in like complete drawings where it's not just an eye. I leave them like that. And yeah, that's an eye tutorial. We're going to title it Eye, and yeah.